Are we good? Hey Lemon, how are you doing? Congratulations on taking first, and welcome. It's been a minute. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Very happy to see you. You're happy to be here? I'm glad to hear it. I'm very happy again to see you as well. It's always nice to see you guys and stuff coming in and everything and just hanging out. Even if I know you guys are going to wind up dozing off and stuff later, it's always nice to see you say hello. Tomorrow is your birthday. Ooh. I might have to do something special for you then. Do you have any big plans for tomorrow? I think we're about to kick into an ad real quick, so hold that thought for a moment. You don't know? Okay, well, I mean, that's fair. You still got time to think about it. Or, who knows, you might be surprised. But in the meantime, I might have to do something, like I said, especially for you. You're being kicked out of the house for some mystery thing? Gee, I wonder what that mystery thing could possibly be. Alright, let's see here. I guess while we go through this initial ad break and stuff, I'm still not entirely sure how that actually works. I mean, does it just kind of kick in 2 minutes after anybody just signs up, or what? So they get in, see, look around for 2 minutes, then they get kicked into into an ad block, and then they don't get ads for, well, but then again, I guess that would really kind of depend on when somebody comes in. No idea how that works. So anyway, whoops. All right. And let me see here. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot to tweet. And we are back. And you know what? I totally forgot to tweet that I was actually going live. So, you know what? Let me do that now. But anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna have to ask people, like, so theoretically you're supposed to get an ad. I guess I'm not really sure if that works. Like, if people, no matter when they join, if they get it 2 minutes in after joining, then they get like the 3-minute block, and then it goes every hour for them, or if it's just like, for example, 30 minutes from now, let's say somebody joins. Now, technically, I'm not supposed to have another ad block. I'm not supposed to get another block of ads for like another hour. Technically 54 minutes at this point. But I'm always kind of curious. Does that mean that if somebody joins at the 30 minutes from now, does that mean that they will, after 2 minutes, they get an ad block? They get the ad block, but then 30 minutes later, they get that hour. They get the ad block at the top of the hour or something, or do they get it for another hour for them? I'm not really sure how that works. Always kind of curious about that. I'm assuming that since the ads manager is showing me when the block shows up, that everybody gets the same ad block, except for, like I said, when they first come on at the most, they'll get hit with the ads after 2 minutes, but then it won't be except for like those hour breaks. Okay, I mean that would be unfortunate. Like that means like if, for example, you show up at the 55-minute mark, and then, like, you know, since the ads are going to go off at the, you know, at the 1 hour block, then theoretically that means you could get like the first 2-minute ad, the first ad block, and then you'll wind up getting the next ad block right after that. But it's a good question. I'm not really sure. What is... Your memory is Swiss cheese. How is that actually misogyny level 2 for automod? The phrase "look babe," that's like level 2, considered level 2 misogyny by automod? What that crap? Nope, I already cleared it, so that's fine. I just think it's kind of funny, like, seriously? You have committed crimes. Lemon. Am I gonna have to put you over my knee for committing crimes? Is that how this is gonna have to play out? Then again, since it's gonna be your birthday tomorrow anyway, maybe that might have to happen regardless. Who knows? Anyway, it feels like a mood tonight. What can I say? Of course, you're the only one in here at the moment, so I'm just kind of messing with you. Because I can. But since it's going to be your birthday tomorrow, and I am not going to be streaming tomorrow, do you have, like, for example, I mean, I'll give you like a free line redeem if you want, or something. So if there's something that you want me to go ahead and say to you or recite for you or anything like that, just go ahead and hit me up. Of course, since we're still on Twitch and, not anywhere else, you gotta go ahead and keep it TOS, but we'll save that for other platforms once I get those running. Oh, and while you're thinking, I forgot again. Let me go ahead and get this tweet out. Jeez. Before I forget yet another moment. Speaking of Swiss cheese memories, easily destructible. Squirrel. You have strongly considered asking me to recite a piece of writing Lumi was done? Really? Which one? Which piece is this? Let me try opening up Discord if you want to send me a link there real quick. I usually close Discord before the stream because, OBS be like that on this potato of a computer. Okay. I like how you put that, though. I have very strongly considered. Well, okay. Trying to keep my throat hydrated here. So if anybody else is kind of coming in, hanging out, just chilling and lurking in the background, hello and welcome. So if you've never been on before, or if you're checking this out later, my name is Chris Eru, and I do different chill streams where we just kind of kick back, hang out, and just chill and roll with the vibe. Keep it nice and relaxed, very lurk friendly. Very nighttime, sleepy friendly too. What up, Bez? How's everything going? How you doing tonight? Good to see you, good to see you. We are waiting. You just woke up from a nap? Well, that's cool. My sleep schedule's been completely screwed up. I've been working up late at night. I've been actually kind of working late the past several nights. And then a stream here and there, but... So, like, yeah, my sleep schedule's all kind of screwed. At the moment, since it's going to be Lemon's birthday tomorrow, I'm giving her a free voice redeem. And she is looking up something that Lumi wrote a while back, something that she really likes. So I'm just, well, at some point I think she'll just go ahead and find that and just throw that up, and then I'll go ahead and read that for her. Yes, definitely. Absolutely wish Lemon a very happy birthday. Happy birthday in advance, at least. No, that's always good. Double checking and making sure. Don't know if she's around though, but hey. If she is, it's always good to go ahead and catch her and stuff. I know they say better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission, but, you know, no, it's better to ask permission. So, you know, let me go ahead and switch to a darker thing since it's, you know, nice, kind of chill moment and stuff here. We're just kind of hanging out and vibing for the time being. And you know what, if you guys also have any other line redeems or anything else you want me to say, just let me know. But let's just go ahead and dim the lights a bit. There. Some light ASMR stuff. What kind of ASMR stuff would you like? Just different word triggers? Or different sounds? I haven't actually used it or done any sounds like the rollers, or the brushes tend to sound a little harsh on this mic. Word triggers, crinkles and scratching, huh? I can do those too. So what kind of word triggers would you like me to go ahead and do then? So, I mean, on that same note, you know, like I said, we're keeping it nice and chill today. I was thinking that maybe later on I could play a game or something else, or, you know, like I said, it all just depends on what you guys feel like doing and everything. I'm actually thinking, like, you know, maybe playing a little bit of Terraria or something. It's got a nice chill soundtrack on it and stuff, and just doing some digging and things like that. Putting the road ASMR off to the side for a moment. Or I can do that too. I don't mind going on another road trip. Read a few words from the dictionary. P or D? I can. I absolutely can. Okay. Well, while you're pulling that up, and like I said, just feel free to go ahead and send that to me over here on Discord and just send me a message there. If you don't want to post it in, directly in chat or whatever, that's perfectly fine. In the meantime, let me go ahead. Okay, hang on a sec. Yeah, Discord is actually being a little slow. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, yeah, I can go ahead and I can read this out real quick. We can do this. Give me one quick sec. Let me check this out. Hydrating. Give me a moment here. So this is going to be a custom word redeem, custom line redeem for your birthday. So is this the whole thing, or? Is there anything? You said it was just a couple of paragraphs, so I assume this is it. Also, for anybody popping in and popping out, hello, welcome. Welcome to the chill zone. Feel free to kick back, relax, and just enjoy the vibe. At the moment, I'm doing a few custom line redeems here for the birthday girl and first place taker today. Alrighty. Okay. So, this is still a little bit of a cold read, so you'll have to kind of bear with me, but... Alright, let me hydrate real quick, and then I'll go ahead and I'll start. He takes a moment to swipe a bit of chocolate sauce from his plate to sample it. He tenses in pleasure, and his eyes press close for about half a second. He likes the nutty flavor in the sauce a lot. It'll definitely complement the pear, he thinks. And I love it when you worry, when you overthink, when you know that you should say no and you don't, when you overlook your concerns because you love me. It makes you so easy, and I'm fond of that. So much that I must remind myself to be a little more ethical, to perhaps ease up a bit. He squirms in his seat. I want you to drown in the idea of me, which is not so easy when my attention is so divided, but I assure you that I'm making some effort. I hope you can tell. Under normal circumstances, I would not be offering to trade for your bathroom project. I think it's too early. And, being completely honest, I'm not afraid to allow you to make your own mistakes and suffer with others. But you move quickly. So I suppose I should match you. I would rather not have pace be the disconnect between us if you're so persistent. Like some of the others, time matters less to me than substance. But I am a selfish creature. I'm fine with it being unnatural. If I want to generate that substance to match your pace, I must work fast, no? I don't care how we frame it later. It will be worth it regardless. So, how was that? Also, hey Selene, congratulations on grabbing second place. Good to see you, good to see you. Welcome in. Glad to see you here. And also, hey Lumi, congratulations on making third as well. Glad you guys could make it. How are you guys doing? As you can tell, I was doing like a free redeem, a birthday redeem for the birthday girl. Well, tomorrow anyway, but still. Good enough. So I decided to do just a special reading just for her. So, Lemon, I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, let me mark that also. Where is that? The markers thing isn't on here now. Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to review this and I'll have to make a point to try to edit this out. I swear, at some point I will actually go ahead and get DaVinci to play nice again. I definitely can't use it while I've got OBS running, but it does work, albeit a little bit slowly. When I don't, I probably have to just kind of make sure I close literally everything so that I can get the editing done. And I need to get good with that program because I am definitely due cutting out a bunch of clips and throwing them up over onto the YouTube channel and stuff. I am so sorry for everybody who's been waiting on me to go ahead and cut out some clips of stuff, and also some other highlights. Yeah, I mean, you guys can clip pretty easily. Just when you actually go, if you mouse over the video and stuff, that center icon in between the gear and the full, and then the full screen thing, the one that looks like the clacker. If you click on that, that'll let you clip. But it only works when you're watching the live. It only really works for the last couple of minutes or so, and it'll let you clip up to a minute. You can go ahead and you can change the start and end points. But yes, you can also do it. You can also do it while you're watching videos as well. So even if you're not doing it live, you can actually, while you're watching the videos, you can also make clips then. So if it's something that you missed, you probably can't go all the way back, at this point. But when you're watching the VOD, you can always go back and watch it and then clip it at that point too. But I think that might have been a little bit long. But I'll make a point to go ahead and cut that out and do that. So, and also, yeah, Bez, I guess that was a little bit spicy, I suppose. So, I hope I didn't miss Selene. I was actually in the middle of reading that and stuff, so I couldn't say hello immediately. So, again, hello Selene. I'm glad you kind of dropped in and everything. Brain spicy. Oh, cool. I was thinking about just kind of hanging out and chilling and vibing with you guys different ways. And then, like I said, maybe doing some ASMR or possibly playing a game or two or stuff. So, chat had suggested, doing some word redeems and stuff like that. And I actually got a dictionary reading request. So, hey. And also, thank you for the hydrate lemon. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and do that now real quick. So, hang on a second. Okay. I hope you didn't. I don't know. I don't know if you heard me swallowing or not. It sounded kind of loud on my end. Oh, you did, huh? Well, okay. Maybe I'll just do that from now on. Every time I get a hydrate, I won't mute while I'm drinking. I'll just, hey, here's the hydrate. You wanted me to drink? Okay, fine. So, but yeah, we're chilling and vibing, and I was pulling up. What was that? Let me check back here what section you were talking about. Me reading in the dictionary, and oh wow, you're already blushing, huh? Okay. Blushing and squealing. Good to know. So, reading from the dictionary. Why P or D specifically? I'm kind of curious. And so which one are you going to do? Which one do you want? P or D? Yes. Dealer's choice. Okay, well, you know what? I just so happened to open up on P, so let's just roll with that then. Okay, so by request, I guess I'll do this for a few minutes, like 5 minutes. Sound good? Lot of. All right, here we go. I'm ready for that P or D. Oh, really? Pa, pal, panga, pascavi, pablum, pabst, pabulum, pac, paca, pace, paste, pacemaker, pacer, pace setter, paceway, pacha, pachinko, pacman, patchouli, pachyandra, pachydermatous, pachymeningitis, Pacifica, Pacific, pacifier, pacifist, packable, package, espadrille, pack horse, padded, paddock, panderborn, padlock, pad thai, pediatrician, paella, pagan, pageantry, page boy, paginal, page, paillette, pained, painstaking, paintbrush, painty, paisano, pajama, pakikiri, palais, palace, paleoclimatology, palace, palatable, palazzo, Palagine, Palermo, sorry, somebody upstairs stomping around, hope you can't hear it and laughing. Palisade, palindrome, Palladio, pallbearer, pallid, palmer, palmetto, palometta, palpable, palpation, palsy, pamiri, pamper, pamphlet, Pan American, panache, pancake, pancreatic, panda, panderer, Pandora, pained, paneer, panel board, panelist, Panatone, Pangender, Panhandle, Panic, Paniculate, Panage, Panos, Panorama, Pansexual, Pantheon, Panther, Pantology, Panza, Papal, Paparazzo, Paperback, Paper Knife, Papillary, Papillion, Papoose, Paprika, Parable, Parachute, Parade, Paradigm, Paradise, Paradox, Paraffin, Paraglide, Paralegal, Parallel. Hey Viking, how's it going? Doing a quick word redeem. Yes, as a matter of fact, I am just reading a dictionary. It was a quick word ASMR redeem. The section P from the dictionary. Go figure. Got like 2 minutes left, hang on. Parallelogram. Parallel. Paralyze. Wait, I don't have rates turned off. I shouldn't, they weren't. That would have been new. I'll check in a sec. Paralysis. Paramecium. Parametric. Paranoid. Paranormal. Paraphimosis. Parasail. Parasite. Paratrooper. Parboil. And the last one. Parchment. So, a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but... And yeah, thanks for joining and coming in. I appreciate the sentiment I'm giving on throwing a raid and everything. I don't know why that wouldn't have worked. And also, let me do that stretch redeem here real quick. 1 second. I'm just going to do that. Cool. Always good, because I'm pretty sure I've been sitting here for a minute. In fact, you know what? I'm going to stand up and do that quick. Yeah, dude, you know what? Regardless of whether I'm streaming or not, I am pretty much in here and in front of my computer and everything. So yeah, you know what? Getting up and stretching and doing that's not a bad idea. That's honestly why I tried to set up. It does kind of suck because I think that, and I'm not sure, but you guys, actually, you know, you guys, let me ask you a question. When you come in, do you wind up getting like a 3-minute block of ads like 2 minutes after you join? Is that how it actually works? So whenever anybody comes in, they get like a 2-minute grace and then bang, they get ads. They get that first 3-minute block. But then after that, I actually have it set that the ads are just like a single 3-minute block, like every hour. I kind of figured that was the easiest way to get me the most time in between the ad blocks and just get them out in 3-minute blocks at a time. That gives people a chance to get up and again do that stretch. I can refill the water and stuff like that while the ads are running. So I just kind of figured that'd be the easiest way to do it and let everybody have a break and everything like that at the same time. But yeah, like I said, I appreciate the thought coming into the raid. I will have to check those settings, but I did not have I did not have like raids turned off. I don't know why it would be set where I couldn't raid, why you couldn't raid in, because I haven't changed anything. And I mean, somebody had raided me like sometime last week, and I don't think anything's changed between them. But but you know what? Hey, like I said, I appreciate that thought regardless. Let me go ahead and just do a quick shout out for you. You know, you're not being able to rate everything, but so you've got work in the morning though. Hey, but I appreciate you stopping by, even though to fuss at me and everything. You know, glad you dropped in and stuff. Yes, last seen playing blank. So we're not really sure what he's been doing, but I'm sure it was pretty badass. Gotta love how Twitch does those, right? You were playing Tekken? Cool, sweet. So yeah, you know, go ahead and by all means check out Viking. And you know what? Follows are always free. So by all means, drop in, drop on a follow, show some love and everything else like that. Love and support. Gotta look out for our peeps, you know. So absolutely, go take a look. I haven't actually played Tekken in ages, I don't think. Oh my god. I'm gonna go hit up your VOD and just kind of check it out and look at it later. But yeah, I'm glad you stopped in and everything. And I hope you get some sleep and stuff and, you know, get up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed for tomorrow. And that posture check, always another good one. Alright, man. Have a good night. And take it easy. So that was the dictionary section. That was just the first few pages of the P's off of dictionary.com. So just a basic word list, but there's a bunch of non-English words, not to mention a whole bunch of words that are pretty much just variations of the same thing. So I did skip over a bunch just to keep it from being too repetitive. So I don't know. Did you guys enjoy that? A little bit of relaxing. Listening to somebody just kind of droning on with a word list. Not quite at random. But just enough to kind of put you in that chill, relaxed, dozing off vibe. Because hey, if we're not here to do anything but relax, then what else are we here for, right? You never thought the word panache would sound so smooth? I don't know. Panache is just one of those words that you just simply have to say. It just, even the sound of it seems to evoke grace. Almost like you have to have a certain level of panache to be able to say it with any kind of splendor. It's kind of funny though. Whenever I see the word paramecium, I always think of the movie Hook. What's a paramecium? Let me tell you what a paramecium is. That is a paramecium. One cell, no brain. It's just... Robin Williams was fantastic. I remember when it came out at the movie theaters, some friends of mine, I was actually in college at the time, and so some of my friends had gone to go see the movie and stuff, and they were just a spattering of nerds and stuff like that, and one of them happened to be like a math tutor, just different TAs and stuff in college and whatever. So when they get to that scene where they're doing the word burns and throwing things at them each other, and he's like, dinglefod, idiot, math tutor. when they got to the math tutor, apparently my friend was almost stood up. He's like, hey, what the hell? But then again, it's also the same thing. Kill the pirates. I'm not a pirate, I'm a lawyer. Kill the lawyers. I'm not that kind of lawyer. So anyway, are there any other kind of word redeems that you guys want to do? Whether it's speaking lines or word ASMR again. Normally I do the reading streams on Thursdays and stuff, but since I wound up having to work Thursday night, and since I didn't stream, I'm always down with doing that right now. So if you guys want to actually hear some of that, or like I said, we can also do other sound ASMR type stuff. Like I said, I haven't done any kind of scratching or anything else like that in a while. I can't say that I'm entirely great at it, but like I said, we can do whatever. Or like I said, if there's just other things you want to hear me read or recite, we can do those too. As long as they're within TOS naturally, because, this is the regular Twitch, it's not the blue Twitch. Or anything like that. And, you know, I don't really know why, but for whatever reason, it's like my voice just kind of wants to stay at this volume level today, it seems like. So, you know, I'm not actually doing, well, I'm kind of, but not really doing this on purpose. It's just kind of where my voice is at the moment. So I guess just kind of bear with me. And hopefully you guys are kicking back and just kind of listening or whatever else, or vibing in like, you know, a dimly lit room and just kind of chilling with the vibe and stuff, as opposed to like a nice brightly lit thing with like, you know, camera lights and everything like I am in my studio office here. But, you know, whatever maintains the vibe, right? So, I guess on that note, what are some other things that I could read? And like I said, I'll take requests, so if there's anything you guys want to hear me do as well, just feel free to pitch up and let me know. Or if you're just kind of kicking back and vibing and stuff and just chilling with the mood, that's always good too. I'm actually kind of surprised there hasn't been any real decent, like, recent scripts that I've kind of seen. People haven't really been putting so much of those out lately. At least not on the script challenge tags. Let's see, because the top is just basically still old stuff that I've actually mostly read. Oh, but wait, hey, here's one. This one is a script. Hang on a sec. Let me make a quick adjustment here. Yeah, I don't see any real reason why anybody wasn't able to rate me. I don't have any of that stuff turned on or anything. But, okay. Anyway, all right, so here is one. So this is actually a script by Atramentum X. So let's just kind of roll through this one real quick here. Hey, can anyone hear me? There's been an accident in the lab. I can't really see, but I dropped the sample and... oh my god, what is that? There's some sort of tentacle thing in here. Can you send someone? Hello? Tentacle monster thing? Sorry about all those experiments. We just needed to learn more about your interesting properties. Wait. Why are you touching my leg? Wait, Wait. Don't just crawl up my leg. Oh god. It's ripping up my clothes. The slab coat was expensive. Get off me. That actually feels kind of good. Why is it so gentle? Is it trying to pleasure me? Hey, stop that. I can't get it off of me. Fuck it. I'm touch starved and I need this. It must have been watching me this entire time. Fascinating. It has sexual needs too, and it's going to use me. And I should have read this earlier, and I'm not sure I can finish this on stream. See, this is what happens when you do cold reads. Yeah, I should have read that ending beforehand. Because, yeah, that... I couldn't finish it. It broke TOS. Anyway. Had you genuinely worried? Yeah, I know, right? I had to abandon ship. Warning, danger, Will Robinson, danger. I had you genuinely worried for a sec, Bez? Okay, well, I'm glad that was kind of convincing. So, yes, okay, that was a near miss. I'm glad. Atramentum stuff isn't at least most of the stuff that I've read of his hasn't exactly been like that, so, whoops. Not to mention the whole fact that was clearly intended for a different level of monster fucker, huh? Noted. But nice to know you guys are awake. Like there's been an accident. And no, I am not trying to get myself into trouble. So, absolutely not. Yes, gotta be careful with those cold reads. You never know what's gonna happen. So anyway, that said, so I don't know, do you guys want to hear something else? Do you guys actually want to hear me do a different reading? Or shall we play a game? I'm trying to remember what that site was with like the different short stories and stuff on there. Oh, this is in... Oh, no. That's not the same thing. Thousands of short stories to read online? No, it's thousands of short stories to read online. interesting. What's this? So you know what else I could go ahead and do again is I could actually go ahead and read, like, again, the first chapters of light novels and stuff again too, if you guys want. What would you like to hear? Anything in particular? So, I think last week I ended up reading stuff like, I read the first couple of chapters from The Magic Kingdom of Landover. I believe I also... No, I didn't read Volume 1 of Smartphone. I don't remember what I read last week. I know I read, like, okay, I'm pretty sure I read like the first couple of chapters of Magic Kingdom of Landover. And then I also read Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill, first chapter of that. And then I also read Peddler in Another World, the first chapter. At least kind of if I'm going by my history here in iBooks. See, what else have I read? I've also, in the past, I have read Eminence of Shadow, first chapter. I didn't read The Ideal Sponger's Life. I don't think, right? No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, I remember a few weeks ago I wound up reading actually longer than that, but I read Kuma 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 Bear. So, what do you guys think? Should we do one of those? Or do you guys just want to see me play a game? Kind of hang out and just listen to that in the background. No, here's one. If it will open. So, okay, why isn't it opening? Oh, there it goes. So this is by T. Hang on, it's still opening. Unrelated question. What's my favorite light novel as of late? Well, I have read like a bunch recently. Last week I actually ended up reading, hang on, let me scroll up here. I actually read In Another World with my smartphone. I basically read from like volume 4 all the way to volume 20, and that covered like the major first arc, or the, you know, pretty much like I don't think that the second season of the anime kind of comes up. You know, I don't think it's going to really cover it, but so I watched part of the anime, and I decided to just kind of kick up and check it out, because watching the anime made me want to go and refresh the book, because I was really just I wanted to reread the part where he wound up, you know, building his, you know, building his kingdom and stuff like that, you know, building up the duchy. And I just kind of read on all the way up through to the point where, you know, he finishes the first major arc of the series. How did he charge his phone? Well, you know, I mean, when God... So if you guys don't know or don't remember, or... Actually, you know what? I could just go ahead and read the first volume and refresh your guys' memory that way. And that actually will answer your questions. So, but the short answer is God. God did it. He took care of it. God is apparently a great cellular provider. He can, like, even connect phones to, you know, other worlds. But okay. I mean, a lot of people kind of dissed on the first, what do you call it? The first anime, the first season of the anime and everything. And yeah, it was a very slow, the story itself is a very slow build, and then it kind of gets, in a lot of ways, ridiculous. God, transfers his pictures to the cloud and stuff. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just simply read like a variety of different selections today. How about that? And again, just kind of previews, because I don't want to ruffle any publisher feathers by reading the whole things here. And these are things like, if you are interested, by all means, go check them out. I mean, it'd be nice if I actually had an easy way to just go ahead and throw images up and put them up so you can see what's, you know, being read and things like that, but I'll just do it this way. I'm gonna go ahead and switch these tags out here real quick. All right, so anyway, and so, all right, I'm going to go ahead and read In Another World with my smartphone, Volume 1. And I'm just going to go ahead and read, you know, again, the first chapter. Or first two chapters, maybe. Chapters 1 and 2, how about that? And I'll just kind of keep switching up, and we'll just read a few of these and just kind of see how it goes. Sound good? Maybe I should switch the actually, maybe I should switch the genre over to, since we're doing reading ASMR. So anyway, so this is In Another World with My Smartphone, Volume 1. Again, the first couple of chapters here. And alrighty. Okay, so let me hydrate real quick and then Prologue. I do hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I am sorry to say that you are dead. I see. The old man bowed his head before me. There we were, in a sea of clouds. They stretched out as far as the eye could see, perhaps even farther than that. Amidst it all, we sat together on a small square of tatami mats. 4.5 tatami mats, to be precise. It was a simple little room, though that description was a loose fit since it lacked both walls and a roof, and was floating in the clouds. It was furnished with a small tea table, a set of drawers, an old CRT TV, and an old-fashioned telephone. It was all very classic, if nothing else. But, all that aside, back to Lord God, or at least the man who claimed to be God. This God guy claimed that I had died in some accident of his making, but honestly, for a dead man, I certainly didn't feel very lifeless. As I remembered, rain suddenly started pouring while I was on my way home from school. I was taking a detour through the local park, at which point I was assaulted by a blinding light and a thunderous roar. I'm afraid to say that I have made a bit of a blunder when I dropped some lightning into the world below. Truly, I am sorry about my mistake. I never intended for it to strike anyone. The chances of it happening are so low to begin with. Really, I cannot apologize enough. So the lightning scored a critical hit, which killed me? Well, that makes sense. So, is this heaven then? No. This is actually far above heaven. This is where all the gods live. You could call it the divine realm, I suppose. I actually had to summon you here myself. Humans ordinarily can't not ever hope to come here, you see. Now, Mochizuki... Mochizuki. Mochizuki Toya. Toya's my given name. Yes, young Toya. Old Man God addressed me as he poured us both a cup of tea. Oh, look at that. My tea stalk's upright. Lucky me, I thought. Young Toya, are you not a tad too calm in this situation? You are very much dead. I had thought you would have been more panicked, or perhaps even furious. I'm a dead man talking. Quite frankly, I'm having a hard time believing this is even real. Still, what's done is done. No use pointing fingers over it. That is a rather philosophical outlook. Even so, I never thought I'd die at 15. I sipped my tea as a thought crossed my mind. Delicious. So, what happens next? Heaven or hell? Which way are you sending me? Oh no, perish the thought. This was all my fault, and I will gladly take responsibility for that. You'll be resurrected in a moment. Don't you worry about that. But... God stumbles over his word for a moment. I couldn't help but wonder what was wrong. I can certainly restore you to life, but I cannot simply place you back where you came from. There are rules about this kind of thing, you understand? Once again, allow me to profusely apologize for this situation. Now, to the point. Go on, I said encouragingly. It is possible to grant you a life in a different world, a chance to begin anew, so to speak. Of course, I will understand if you don't like the idea, but sounds good to me. It does? Finding his endless apology cut short, God's face was now almost comically blank. If that's the way it has to be, then that's all there is to it. I'm honestly just happy I get another chance, so that's fine by me. You truly are an amazing young man. You definitely could have made something of yourself if you were still alive down there. Please forgive my carelessness. Poor old God looked very downtrodden indeed. I was very close to my own grandfather, so I felt a bit bad for me as well. It felt a bit bad for me as well. I knew it was silly, but I definitely empathized with him. Besides, I was talking to God of all people. I'd never been very religious, but I wasn't so stupid as to get up and start yelling at the guy, demanding he make everything right again. I did feel very sad about never being able to see my family or friends ever again, but that wasn't something that could be fixed by blaming God. My granddad told me to be a good person, the kind of person who forgave other people when they made mistakes. By all accounts, gods were people as well. Probably. At least allow me to make it up to you somehow. I am permitted to grant you small favors like that. Does anything come to mind? Well, you've put me kind of on the spot here. Being able to go home would be nice, but that was against the rules. As such, I had no choice but to think of something else. Something that could be of use to me in the new world. The world you're sending me to, what kind of place is it? In comparison to your world, it is not quite as developed as of yet. Your world was the one with the Middle Ages, correct? I suppose it is close to that level on a social standpoint. Well, half of it at least. It varies by location. Well, that was certainly a drop as far as quality of life was concerned. Hearing that made me feel a little worried. Could I really survive just being thrown into that kind of landscape unawares, left to fend for myself? Oh, that's it, I realized. There is one thing. Oh, there is? State it, and I'll see what can be done. This. Can you make it so I can still use it while I'm over there? I produced the item I desired from my uniform pocket. An object akin to a small metal board, with the device known as the all-powerful cellular telephone. Well, really, it was just my smartphone. That is all? Well, I do suppose it is possible. I would have to impose some restrictions on its usage, however, if that is acceptable. What kind? You will not be able to directly communicate with anyone through it. In simpler terms, I should say that you cannot use it to interact with your old world. No texting, no posting to websites, and no outgoing calls. However, you will still be able to observe, browse, and use search functions and whatnot. What else? Oh, I'll give you my telephone number as well. Sounds good to me. All the information from my old world would make for a powerful weapon. I didn't exactly know how at the time, but I was sure it would prove useful. I will link the battery directly to your magic so as to keep it charged at all times. So as to keep it charged at all times. You will not have to worry about it running out of power. Sorry, did you say magic? Are you telling me that the people in my new world can cast spells and stuff? Well, yes. Fear not, you should be able to do it. You should be able to use it freely in due time. I was going to become a wizard. Amazing. I was really going to become a wizard as I started off a life in another world. Alright then. We should really see to getting you back on your feet now, eh? Thank you for all of this, really. Not at all. This whole situation was a result of my mistake to begin with. Speaking of which, one last thing. God gently raised his arm out toward me. I was wrapped in a warm, gentle light for a moment. Dang no Twitter, you say that like it's a bad thing. It would be quite tragic indeed were you to die again immediately after being revived, so I have given all of your basic abilities a small boost. Your body will be stronger, your mind sharper, and so on. Either way, it should be considerably harder for you to die this time around. Well, unless some silly old god drops lightning on your head. The kindly old coot smiled wryly, and I found myself smiling too. I will be unable to do much for you directly once you're down in the world below, so just consider that a little present from me. Thanks again. I may not be able to interfere with the lower realms too much, but I can always offer you advice should you require it. God pointed at my phone as he spoke. This was a bit of a tough one. I couldn't exactly call God every evening asking how to do this or that, so I figured I should just hold off on calling him unless the situation was particularly serious. Well then, until next time. God saw me off with a saintly smile, and I blacked out in an instant. Chapter 1. In Another World. I came to my senses, laying on my back and gazing up at the sky. The clouds were floating on gently by, and I could hear birds chirping in the distance. I clambered to my feet, noticing my body didn't hurt at all. As I surveyed my surroundings, I took note of mountains and grassy plains all around me. I could see a large tree in the distance. Plus, I thought I could make out a road next to it as well. There was no mistaking it. I was in another world. Guess I'll just walk the road and see if I run into anyone. My immediate checkpoint in sight, I set off toward the big tree. Upon reaching it, I got a better look at things. I was right. There was a road nearby. Now, left or right? That is the question. I pondered my options beneath the shade of the giant tree. The nearest landmark to my right looked to be an hour's walk away. Off to the left, I could make out a town. It was probably 8 hours by foot. As I was lost in thought, my smartphone began to ring. The caller ID was listed as God. Hello? Oh, it went through. I see that you have arrived safely. I could hear God's voice as I held the phone close to my ear. We'd only just parted, but it felt as though we were talking for the first time in forever. I forgot to mention one thing. The maps and compasses and such on your phone should be compatible with this world now. I hope they help you out some. Wow, really? That's great timing, actually. I was a little bit lost and wondering where I should go. I had assumed so. I could have just as easily dropped you off in the middle of a town, but think of the panic that would ensue. I had thought you would rather avoid that, so I dropped you off where nobody would see you instead. Of course, that brings us to the problem of you being lost in the middle of nowhere. Yep, I answered with a somewhat wry smile. It was only natural I'd be lost. I didn't have a destination, a hometown, or even any acquaintances. If you follow your map, you should be able to reach the nearest town without incident. Do your best out there. Goodbye. Will do. Later. As the call ended, I went back to the home screen, located the map application, and opened it up. My location was displayed in the very center of the map. A road stretched out right alongside that point. This must have been the very road I was looking at. Zooming further out, I took note of the town to the west. It was Reflet, the town of Reflet. Well, I guess that's where I'm headed. Firing up a simple compass app, I took heed and headed west. After walking a fair bit, the reality of my situation finally began to sink in. To begin with, I had no food, not to mention the fact that I had no water. Once I got into town, what then? I had no money. I still had my wallet, but what good was that? Was there an exchange rate for my country's money? From a logical perspective, it was all worthless now. What to do? As I was lost in thought, a sound steadily approached from behind. I turned around to check and saw something off in the distance. It was heading this way, and it appeared to be a horse-drawn carriage. I'd never seen a carriage before in my life, but it was generally something you'd find someone riding in. This would be first contact with life in another world. Think, what should I do? Try and stop it? I could have asked for a ride into town, but I decided against the idea. Why? A simple enough reason. As the carriage drew closer, I could tell at a glance that it was a very high-class vehicle. Its physical appearance showed that it was gorgeously adorned and built of the highest craftsmanship. Even I could tell at a glance that it was the sort of vehicle ridden by a noble, or at least some rich person of high status. If I were to stop a carriage like that only to be met with a line like, "Insolent knave, I'll see you hanged for this," then it'd be no laughing matter. I decided it was in my best interest to give way instead, so I simply moved to the edge of the road. The carriage passed me by, kicking up a cloud of dust in its wake. Good. I was glad I'd managed to avoid any trouble. However, as I turned to resume walking down the road, I noticed that it had come to a stop a short way ahead. "You! Yes, you over there!" A man slammed the carriage door open and stepped out. He was an older gentleman with gray hair and splendid mustache. He wore a stylish scarf and mantle, and a rose brooch shone on his chest. Yes, what is it?" Clearly excited about something, the older gentleman made his way over. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I was mostly just relieved that we seemed to be speaking the same language. The man firmly gripped my shoulders and held me in place. His eyes wandered all across my body as though slowly savoring something. Wait, what? This could be bad. "Where in the world did you get these clothes?" Sorry? I was taken aback, left utterly baffled by his question. The gentleman was so immersed in scanning my school uniform from every angle that he didn't even pay any attention to my confusion. "I've never seen a design such as this. And the way this was sewn. How could this have been made? And then it all started to make sense. To put it simply, my uniform was rare. Maybe nothing else like it existed in this world. In that case, you can have it if you'd like." "Are you certain?" The mustachioed gentleman took the bait. "I acquired these clothes from a traveling merchant. If you'd rather have them, I don't mind handing them over. However, that puts me at a loss, as I'd have nothing to wear. If you might kindly take me into town and help me find a new set of clothes, I'd be very grateful." I couldn't have possibly have told him my clothes came from another world, so I was forced to come up with an excuse. If I somehow managed to sell my clothes and make a bit of money off of them, that was one problem solved. Plus, it would help me get clothes that didn't stand out so much, killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. "Very well, step aboard and accompany me to town. I shall have new clothes prepared for you on the double. You may sell your current garments once that is taken care of." "Then we have a deal," I sternly replied. The mustachioed gentleman firmly shook my hand in response. After that, it only took 3 hours to reach the town of Rufflet by carriage. During the journey, the gentleman, who introduced himself as Zanuck, took my jacket and ran his hands over it several times, examining it down to every last seam. He seemed extremely interested in the make of the clothes. Once I learned of his job, it all made sense. Apparently, Zanuck worked in the fashion industry. That explained his initial reaction and all of his curious behavior. Today, too, it seemed that he'd been on his way back from a meeting of some kind. As for me, I passed the time staring out of the carriage window. The scenery of a brand new world. A world which is my new home. It had been 3 hours since I'd first met Zanuck. After a lot of rocking and shaking, the carriage safely arrived at Rufflet. A soldier, possibly some kind of gatekeeper, met us at the entrance and questioned us before promptly allowing us to pass. From his reaction, it seemed that Zanuck was quite famous. The carriage rattled loudly as we proceeded down the town streets. Since the roads were old cobblestone, it shook quite a bit. Carrying on, we made our way to what seemed to be a prosperous shopping district with many stores all lined up in a row. The carriage stopped in front of one such shop. "We've arrived. Come now, let's see you into some new clothes." I did as Zanuck asked and stepped out onto the street. The store's signboard sported a needle and thread design, but it was the writing below that alerted me to an alarming fact. I can't read it. I couldn't read what was written on the sign. That definitely wasn't good news. I had thought it might be okay since I was able to talk just fine, but that seemed not to be the case. It could have been worse, I suppose, since at least being able to converse meant I could still have somebody teach me to read and write. Day one in another world, and I'd already had something to study. Zanuck led me into the shop, and several of the staff came to greet us. "Welcome back, owner." I was taken aback by what they said. Owner? "Ah, I run this store. But that's not important right now. Let's get you changed. Somebody pick out new clothes for this boy." Zanuck whisked me off to a changing room, which was an actual small room with a door, not just a box with a curtain dividing it off. After that, he rushed back in with a pile of clothes. I removed my blazer, tie, and shirt so I could begin getting changed. I was wearing a simple black t-shirt underneath, and it seemed to have caught Zanuck's eye as well. "Might I press you to sell me those undergarments as well?" He's the scoundrel. In the end, I was made to sell every last thread off my back. Everything including my socks and shoes. By the time my underpants were added to the list of demands, I had become quite tired of the ordeal. I understood how he felt, I just wished he could have understood how I felt. The clothes and shoes he prepared for me in return were comfy and easy to wear. I certainly had no complaints about them. Black pants and a white shirt, with a black jacket over the top. A chic outfit that wasn't too showy. I liked it. It kept me from standing out. "Now, how much are you selling me your clothes for? I'll spare no expense, of course, but did you have a particular charge in mind?" "Well, I'm afraid I don't really have a good estimate in mind. This isn't my field of expertise, you see. I can only assume they'd be expensive, but to be completely honest, I'm penniless right now." "I see. That is rather sad to hear. Well then, how does 10 gold pieces sound?" Without any knowledge of the currency in this world, I had no way to judge the worth of 10 gold pieces. As such, I accepted. "Sounds good." "Wonderful. Well, here you are," Zanuck replied, clearly pleased by my answer. 10 gold pieces jingled into the palm of my hand. Each one was about as big as a 50-yen coin, and had engravings of something resembling a lion. It was my entire life savings, something I had to spend wisely. "By the way, you wouldn't know where I could find someplace like an inn, would you? I'd like to find a place to rest my head before the sun goes down." "An inn, yes? Turn right as you go out onto the street, then follow the road. You should see a sign for the Silver Moon Inn, which won't be hard to find." Even if I did spot it, I wouldn't know because I couldn't read. Well, it wouldn't be a problem since I could just keep asking people as I went. Even if I couldn't read, I could still talk. "Got it, thanks. I'll be on my way then." "Very well. If you come across any other unusual garments, please bring them my way." I said my goodbyes to Zanuck and left the shop. The sun was still high in the sky. I took my smartphone and turned it on. Time seemed to be just past 2 p.m. I wondered this in the carriage, but the time should be accurate too, right? Going by the sun, it couldn't have been too far off at least. Right then, something suddenly came to mind. I fired up the map application. It showed my current location in the town map, and sure enough, the street and shop names were also displayed. I certainly wouldn't be getting lost now. I found the Silver Moon Inn on the app quickly enough. Oh, wait a minute. I turned back and looked at Zanuck's store. Fashion King Zanuck. That's seriously what that sign said. I set off for the inn, all the while feeling bad for poor Zanuck and his terrible naming sense. After a bit of walking, I found the sign for the Silver Moon. The logo had a crescent moon design, fairly standard all things considered. The building, which was made of brick and wood, looked like it stood 3 stories tall. It certainly seemed sturdy enough, at any rate. I passed through the double-leaf doors. The room inside resembled a bar or dining hall with a large counter on the right. To the left, there were also stairs leading upward. "Welcome. Are you here for a meal or is it a room you want?" The lady behind the counter called out to me. Her red hair was tied up in a ponytail and she looked quite lively. A woman in her early 20s or so, I guessed. "Ah, I'd like to rent a room, please. How much a night?" "2 copper. Meals are included with the price. Oh, you'll have to pay up front as well." 2 copper coins. I couldn't tell if that was expensive or cheap. Logically, it was at least cheaper than 1 gold coin, but I couldn't guess how many copper made up 1 gold. With no other option, I took 1 gold from my wallet and placed it on the counter. "How many nights will this get me?" "What do you mean, how many?" 50, right?" she replied, clearly exasperated. 50? I felt stung by the sudden look she gave me, which made me feel that she was basically saying, "Hey, can't you count?" or something. So then 1 gold equals 100 copper. 10 gold could buy me 500 nights. I could live comfortably for around a year and a half without lifting a finger. Well, that meant I had a lot of money, didn't I? Well, what'll it be? 1 month's lodging, please." "Alrighty, 1 month it is. I haven't had many customers lately, so you're kind of a lifesaver right now." "Haha, thank you. I'm out of silver coins though, so I'll just give you the change in copper." The lady took my gold coin and returned 40 copper to me. If you took 60 copper, then that meant 1 month was roughly 30 days in this world. Pretty close to the old world then. With that sorted, the lady brought out what appeared to be a hotel register from behind the counter. She opened it up in front of me, then handed me a feather pen. "Okay then, if you could just sign here, please." "Oh, excuse me. Thing is, I can't actually write. Could you fill it in for me, please?" "Really? Well, that's fine. What's your name?" "It's Mochizuki. Mochizuki Toya." "Mochizuki? That's a pretty unusual name." "Ah, wait, no. My given name is Toya. Mochizuki is my surname. My, family name." "Oh, okay. Your given name and family name are reversed. Are you from Ishin?" Somewhere around those parts, sure." I hadn't the faintest clue where in the world Ishin was, but I couldn't come up with anything better, so I left it at that. I resolved to look over my map later to see if I could find this Ishin place on it. "Okay, your room's on the 3rd floor, right at the end. It gets the best sunlight out of all of our rooms. Here's your key, be sure not to lose it. The toilet and the bath are both on the 1st floor, and this room here is for dining. Speaking of which, will you be having lunch today?" "Oh, please. I haven't eaten since this morning." "I'll whip something up real quick then. You can use this time to go check out your room, maybe rest a bit." "Got it," I said. I then took my room key, went upstairs to the 3rd floor, and opened the door to my room. It was roughly the size of a 6 tatami mat room, featuring a bed, a desk, chair, and closet. I opened the window and looked down on the street. The view was really nice. Also, it was heartwarming watching children running around and playing below. Invigorated, and in a surprisingly pleasant mood, I left my room and locked it shut. As I made my way back downstairs, I was greeted by a lovely smell. "Here you go. Sorry for the wait." I took a seat in the dining room, and the lady carried my meal out to me. There was some soup, something resembling a sandwich, and a salad. The bread was a bit hard, but very good for the first loaf I tried in another world. Delicious, even. I devoured the entire thing. After that, I gave some thought to my next course of action. I was going to be staying at the inn for a while, so I figured I should go get a feel for how things were around town. I'm headed off for a walk. Alrighty, see you later then. After the innkeep, who told me her name was Micah, saw me off, I left to go explore the rest of town. Being a town in another world, everything was unusual and fascinating. My wandering gaze made some people regard me with suspicion, and whenever I grew aware of that fact, it caused my eyes to wander even more. Carrying on like that would just put me in an endless loop. That was no good. One thing I did notice about the people in town was how many of them were carrying weapons around. Some had swords or axes, others had knives, and a few were even carrying whips. It struck me as somewhat dangerous, but I figured that that's just how it was in this world. I made note to begin to consider buying a weapon of my own. First things first, though, I need to start making money. I can't very well live in this world without a source of income. Never would I have thought I'd be job hunting so soon. Honestly, it would have been nice if I had a specialty of some kind. Alas, my best subject in school was history, and the history of another world wasn't exactly much help. The only other thing that came to mind was music. Did this world even have pianos? Well, even if there were some around, it wasn't like I especially was talented at it. Something suddenly caught my attention. Noises. Voices even. Loud voices coming from one of the alleyways off of the main road. Sounded like an argument of some kind. Guess I can check it out. With that thought, I set off for the back alley. When I made it to the end of the narrow back alley, I found 4 people. It looked to be 2 men having an argument with 2 girls. Both of the men seemed the nasty, rough sort, but the girls were exceptionally adorable. The girls looked to be around my age, perhaps younger. The 2 of them were so alike that I almost thought I'd been seeing double. I wondered if they were twins, perhaps. Looking closer, they had their differences. They looked different around the eyes, and one had long hair while the other wore hers short. But even then, they had the same silver hair. Both of them wore the same black jacket and white blouse, but the girl with longer hair wore Colette shorts with black knee socks, while the girl with shorter hair wore a flared skirt with black tights. It was easy to tell that the long-haired girl was full of energy, while the short-haired girl was more neat and composed. "This isn't what we agreed on. You said you'd buy it for 1 gold. The long-haired girl yelled at the men, who both stood grinning as if arrogantly mocking her. One of the men held something like a deer's antler made of glass. What do you mean? I said we'd buy your crystal deer's antler for 1 gold if it were in perfect condition. But looky right here, it's scratched. A damaged antler is worth only 1 silver, so that's what we're paying you. Go on, take it and scram." A single silver coin rolled to the ground at the girl's feet. "That doesn't even count as a scratch. You were never planning on giving us a fair deal, were you?" The long-haired girl glared menacingly towards the men, while the short-haired girl quietly bit her lip in frustration. "Fine, I don't want your money. Just give us back the antler." The long-haired girl said that and took a step forward. Disproportionately large gauntlets appeared on her arms as she advanced toward them. "Oh, afraid we can't be having that. This was a fair trade, you know. I never agreed to give it back." Excuse me, do you have a moment?" I spoke up, and everyone's eyes fell upon me. The girls seemed confused, but the men looked almost ready to jump me. "Huh? What do you want, kid?" one of the men said with a snarl. "Ah, not you. I meant the girl over there," I replied calmly. "Eh, me?" was the only response I got from her as I ignored the scowling man and called out to the girl behind him. I was just wondering if you might sell me that antler for 1 gold. For a moment she stood flabbergasted. Then my words finally seemed to click with her, and she answered me with a smile. It's a deal. The hell it is! Don't go selling things that belong to other people! Suddenly the crystal antler shattered to pieces in the man's hand. The stone I had thrown met its mark. What? What the hell do you think you're doing? Whatever do you mean? I'm free to treat my belongings however I'd like to. Oh, though I guess I hadn't paid for it yet. I'll do that now. I'll kill you! One of the men bellowed as he pulled a knife and charged right at me. I managed to dodge him easily by paying attention to his movements. For some reason, I just knew that I'd be able to dodge his attack. I could see everything, from the man's movements to the knife's trajectory. That had to be the result of one of those gifts that God had given me to bolster my body and my senses. I bent down and swept the man's legs from under him. He collapsed to the ground face up, and I drove my fist into his body with one swift motion. Gah! He passed out right on the spot I'd knocked him down with that one final grunt. It seemed that the move I'd learned from my grandpa had come in handy. When I turned around, I noticed that the other man was fighting the long-haired girl. He swung around a hatchet, but he couldn't seem to get a good hit on her, and his blows kept bouncing off her gauntlets. When she saw her chance, the girl stepped forward, quick as lightning, and swung a tremendous right hook straight into the man's face. He collapsed to the ground with his eyes rolling back in his head. Amazing. Well, had I known it'd be that easy, then maybe I wouldn't have shattered that crystal antler. I actually regretted doing so. There was no point regretting past decisions. I'd thought to calm the situation peacefully by removing the source of the argument, but it seemed that had been a poor plan. I took 1 gold coin from my wallet and went to hand it to the long-haired girl. Here, 1 gold coin. Are you sure? I mean, it'd really help us out, but it's fine. I'm the one who smashed the antler to pieces. Wouldn't be fair to go back on my word now. In that case, thank you. With that, she accepted the coin with her gauntlet-clad hand. Oh, and thanks for helping me out there. I'm Els Siloeska, and this is my younger twin sister, Lynn Siloeska. Thank you very much. The short-girled hair spat out those words, bowed, and gave me a little smile. Seemed they were twins, just as I had thought. The long-haired girl one was Els, and the short-haired girl was Lynn's. Easy enough to remember. Though I still couldn't tell them apart except by hairstyle and clothes. My name's Mochizuki Toya. Oh, Toya's my given name. Your given name and family name are backward? Are you from Ishin? Yeah, somewhere around those parts. Met with the same reaction as Micah from the inn. I just left it at that again. All those reactions did, however, move thoughts of Ishin to the forefront of my mind. I wanted to know what kind of country it was. Oh, I see. So you only just arrived in town too, huh, Toya? I chatted with Els over fruit juice. In my case, though, it was less having just arrived in this town and more having just arrived in the world. After the events in the alleyway, we returned to the Silver Moon Inn. The girls had told me they were looking for an inn, so I took them back with me. Micah was overjoyed when I brought back more customers. So much that it showed clearly on her face. Since we were all together anyway, we decided to share a meal. We talked a lot while eating dinner Micah had made, and after dinner, we all had some tea to drink. See, we came here to deliver a crystal deer's antler after those guys put out a request, but that went about as well as you saw. I mean, the request was plenty suspicious, so I did figure something was up, but still. That's why I said we shouldn't accept the request, but sis, you wouldn't listen to me. Lynn spoke up to reprimand her older sister. She seemed to be the one with the good head on her shoulders. Meanwhile, Els seemed to have more of a wild personality. Els the fearless older sister and Lynn's the shy little sister. At least, that was how they seemed to me. So why would you accept the request if you knew it sounded suspicious? I voiced my doubts for the girls to hear. I couldn't help but wonder why they'd bother to try and strike up any kind of deal with dubious characters like those guys. Funny story, actually. See, we'd just beaten a crystal deer and gotten one of its antlers when we heard that there was someone looking to buy one. Almost sounded too good to be true. Well, I guess it was, considering we got duped and all. Suppose we'll only be accepting requests like that through the guild from now on. Hopefully, that way we'll get wrapped up in a lot less trouble. Els lowered her gaze and let out a big sigh. Want to take this opportunity to get registered with the guild, Linz? That sounds like a good idea. Better safe than sorry, after all. Let's go sometime tomorrow. The guild, as I remembered from games, was something like an employment service center that would mediate jobs for prospective adventurers. They'd have lots of quests posted, and completing them would net you some money. If it's alright with you, can I tag along tomorrow? I need to get registered with the guild too. Sure, I don't see why not. Yeah, we can all go together. The two of them kindly agreed. Alright, I'd get registered with this guild and see if I could make some money working through them. That might well have been my ticket to earning a stable income that would allow me to live comfortably. With all that decided, the three of us split up, so I went back to my room. My long first day in this world had finally come to an end. It sure was a busy day, too. I was transported to another world, made to sell my clothes, searched for an inn to stay at, helped a couple of girls, and gotten myself into a brawl. What the heck was with all of that? For the time being, I decided to note everything that had happened that day down in my smartphone in place of an actual diary. After that, I opened up a few news stories and checked in on how things were going down in my old world. Oh, the Giants are winning. That band's gonna break up. What a shame. I turned my phone off once I'd found a good place to stop reading, then crawled my way into bed. I would be registering with the guild the next day, so I wondered what it'd be like. Thoughts like that ran through my mind until drowsiness finally took over. The electric noise of my smartphone's alarm got me to sluggishly crawl out of my futon. I then washed my face, got dressed, and headed downstairs to the dining room. Els and Linz were already awake and having breakfast. I took my seat and Micah brought out some food for me as well. This morning's menu was bread with ham and eggs, vegetable soup, and a salad. What a delicious way to start the day. The three of us headed out to the guild as soon as we'd finished eating. It was pretty crowded since it was right near the middle of town. The first floor of the guild's building was laid out like a restaurant. It was a lot more cheerful than I thought it would be. I pictured it in my head as a bar where ruffians would hang about, but it looked like my fears were unfounded. The female receptionist met me with a lovely smile as we approached the counter. We'd like to register with the guild, please. All right then, that's no problem at all. Would that be 3 for registration then? Yes, all 3 of us, Linz replied. Will this be your first time registering with the guild? If so, I can provide a basic explanation of what it means to register with us. Please do. The gist of it was the guild would take the requests of individuals or groups, publicize them, then take a small fee upon completion. That was how the guild worked. The requests were split into ranks based on how difficult they were expected to be, so someone with a low personal rank couldn't accept requests aimed at those of a higher rank. However, so long as half of one's party was of a high enough rank, they would be able to accept such requests even if the others in that party didn't meet the rank requirements. Upon completion of a quest, one would receive payment. If one failed a quest, however, they would be charged with breach of contract. I need to pick and choose my work carefully. In addition, if one continued to fail multiple quests, then they would be deemed a low-quality individual, and their guild registration would be revoked as a penalty. Were that to happen, one would never be able to re-register with any guild branch in any town. Other stipulations included, if one did not accept any requests at all for 5 years, then their guild registration would expire. One could not accept multiple requests at the same time. Concerning subjugation requests, one must hunt the monsters in the designated area, else their work would be deemed invalid. As a general rule, the guild would not directly involve itself in personal dissent between adventurers, unless such dissent was judged to be harmful to the guild itself. Anyway, we received a pretty thorough explanation of the rules. And that about sums up the explanation. If you have any further questions, please direct them to the appropriate individuals. Alright, got it, I replied. Very well. Please fill in and return these forms with all the required details. The receptionist handed us 3 blank forms, but I couldn't read a single word on them. When I informed Liz that I couldn't read or write, she agreed to help me fill out my form. I knew that being illiterate was going to cause me problems sooner or later. The receptionist then took the registration forms and held a pitch-black card over each of them in turn, seemingly casting some sort of spell. Afterward, she took out a small pin and told each of us to spill a little bit of blood onto the cards. I did as instructed, took the small pin in the hand, and pricked my finger with it, then rubbed a small amount of blood onto the surface of the card. Some white letters floated up onto it, but I still couldn't make heads or tails of what it said. Each of your personal guild cards has a little spell on it that will make it turn gray if handled by someone other than the real owner for longer than a few seconds. It's a simple anti-forgery mechanism. Also, should you happen to lose your card, please report to the guild as swiftly as possible. For a small fee, we'll be able to issue you a new card. The receptionist took hold of my card and stood there for a few seconds. Just as she'd said, it eventually turned from pitch black to a dull gray. The very moment she placed the card back in my hands, it snapped right back to black. That was a really cool trick. I wonder how it worked. With this, your guild registration is complete. All available work requests are posted on the board over there. If you see one you would like to accept, please confirm all details and apply for it through our quest. Please confirm all details and apply for it through our quest clerk. The 3 of us stood in front of the board where the quests were posted. Our guild cards were all black, signifying that we were at the beginner level. Our cards would apparently change color as our ranks rose, but right now we could only accept quests aimed at beginners. Els and Linz busily poured through each quest notice one by one, but I, on the other hand, not good. I seriously need to learn how to read and write, and fast. If I couldn't understand the details of a job, I was never going to get anywhere. I made a mental note to put evenings aside for studying my reading and writing. Hey, Linz, check this one out. The reward's pretty decent, and it seems like a good place to start. How about it? Yeah, this one doesn't seem so bad. What do you think, Toya? Sorry, I can't make any sense of it. Els had been merrily pointing out the request in question, but her finger drooped slightly when I said that. Let's see. It's a request to go out and defeat some beast monsters in the forest to the east. They want us to hunt 5 lone horde wolves. They're not very strong, so I think we can manage. Oh, right. The reward is 18 copper. Linz was polite enough to read out the details of the quest to me. 18 copper, huh? Split evenly between us. That would make for 6 copper each. That could pay for 3 nights of lodging. Not bad at all. Fine, let's go with that, I decided. Okie dokie, let's take this to the clerk. Els tore down the request notice and headed on over to the quest clerk. Lone-horned wolves. Apparently they were wolves with a single horn on their head. A sort of obvious given their name. I was slightly worried as to whether I would defeat them or not. Huh? Oh, right, I completely forgot. What's wrong? Linz curiously asked why I was standing there, clearly dumbfounded. I sort of don't have a weapon yet. It had totally slipped my mind. Trying to take on a subjugation quest unarmed would have been the height of idiocy. Therefore, we decided to make a beeline for the weapons store after departing the guild. We took a north street, and eventually another glaringly obvious logo on the signboard came into view. Just as one might expect, this one was of a sword and shield. And again, just as one might expect, I could not decipher the name of the shop printed below the logo. Opening the just throw the phone at the wolves. Opening the shop door made a small bell tinkle, announcing our arrival. The sound caused a massive, bearded old man to spawn from within the depths of the store. He was huge. In fact, I almost mistook him for a bear. Welcome. Looking for something? The bear man appeared to be the store's owner. God damn, he's massive. He had to have been at least 2 meters tall. Was he some sort of pro wrestler or something? We're looking for a weapon for this guy here. Mind if we take a look around? Els asked in a clear attempt to aid me. Go right ahead. Feel free to pick up anything that catches your eye. Mr. Bear responded to her with a gentle smile. What a nice bear. Person. What a nice person. I wondered if he would have some honey. The shop was packed from floor to ceiling with weapons. There were all kinds on display as well. Everything from swords to spears, bows, axes, even whips. So many weapons. Any weapons you're good with, Toya? Nothing particular comes to mind, but, well, I have been trained with swords. Just a little, though. Negative thoughts formed in my mind as I answered Nels's question. I said swords, but I'd only ever held one in kendo classes. I'd never actually received any proper training. I probably knew some of the basics of swordplay at best. I was pretty much a rank amateur. In that case, I think a sword would be the best fit. Toya seems like more of an agile fighter than one who uses brute force, so I think maybe a one-handed sword. Linz pointed out a section of the shop where one-handed swords were on display. I picked up one of the swords, still in its scabbard, and held it by the hilt with one hand. It was too light. I felt that maybe a slightly heavier sword would suit me better. Just then, one sword in particular caught my eye. Actually, this was no mere sword. It was a katana. A slim, curved blade with a masterfully crafted circular handguard. A black sheath with a belt-like cord. Upon closer inspection, there were parts which differed from the Japanese katanas that I was familiar with, but it was still remarkably familiar. What's the matter? Oh, you're looking at that Ishin sword? I suppose it makes sense since you'd be drawn to a weapon from your homeland. Noticing my fixation on the katana, Linz and Els called out to me. Ah, so this sword was from Ishin, apparently. Not that it was actually my homeland, but, well, it did seem that Ishin and Japan had a lot of common points. The more I heard about it, the more I became interested in this Ishin. I took the katana down and carefully removed it from its sheath. The pattern on the blade shone beautifully in the light, captivating me for a moment. The blade was a bit thicker than I'd assumed, so the katana itself was fairly heavy. Not so heavy that I wouldn't be able to swing it properly, though. How much is this one? Mr. Bear's head popped out suddenly from farther back in the store as soon as those words left my mouth. That one, eh? That'll be 2 gold, aye? Thing is, though, it ain't exactly the easiest weapon to use. Definitely ain't something I'd suggest for a beginner. 2 gold? Isn't that a little expensive? Els argued on my behalf. Well, it ain't like I actually get 'em stocked often, and even when I do, there's hardly anyone who can use the dang thing. Of course it's gonna be pricey. Els pouted as Mr. Bear's words, but he remained steadfast. Thinking it over, that price probably was reasonable. Even I could tell that a weapon like this had intrinsic value. I'll take it. You said it cost 2 gold? I returned the katana to its sheath, and pulled out 2 gold coins from my wallet, placing them on the counter. Pleasure doing business with you. Interested in any protective gear while you're at it? Nah, this'll do for now. I'll come back when I have a bit more cash on me. Gotcha. Well then, here's hoping that sword helps you earn a boatload. The bear heartily laughed as he spoke. Now, I'd found what I was after, but Els and Linz ended up picking up some things while we were there. Els went for some leg armor called greaves, a type that covers the leg down roughly foot to shin. And Linz bought a silver wand. It seemed that Els was a close-ranged brawler, while Linz supported from the rear with magic. Weapons secured, we decided that the general item shop was next on our list of stops. Along the way, I got curious about something, so I fired up my map application to check the name of the store we had just left. Weapon Shop 8 Bears. Did everyone in the town share this bizarre naming sense? At the item shop, I bought a small pouch, a canteen, a lunchbox, a fishing hook and some fishing line, a pair of scissors, a knife, a toolbox with plenty of handy little things such as matches, some medicinal herbs, some antidotes, and other little things along those lines. Els and Linz already had necessities like that, so I was the only one who bought anything there. And so our preparations were complete at last. Beware, lone-horned wolves, we're coming to the forest to wipe you out. Okay, so it occurred to me that chapter 1 is actually, so I did the prologue, chapter 1. There's like 5-ish chapters, well, 4 chapters and 2 preludes, like short type stories in the entire book, so these chapters are actually a lot longer than normal. Now, if this were on JNovel, like the previews and stuff would only be like a section, so it'd only be like, maybe about 10, 15 pages, maybe 20 tops. We are right now already on page 34, well, 35 actually. But there's only 18 pages left in the chapter, so I'm going to go ahead and just finish out this chapter, and then that'll be all that we cover in volume 1 of Smartphone. Because again, I'm not trying to read the whole thing out to avoid trouble. Okay? So let me hydrate real quick. The Eastern Forest was about a 2-hour walk away from Rufflet. I'd hoped we might be able to hitch a ride on a carriage if we happened to pass any, but not a single one passed by. Exactly 2 hours later, we arrived at the forest. We made our way into the dense woodland, being sure to take note of our surroundings. At first I was frightened by every little noise, from birds crying to small animals moving around amongst the trees. Gradually, though, I started to notice something. Faintly, but surely, I could detect the presence of things around me. I could tell what or where something was, how it saw us, all manner of things like that. I wondered what it was. Some kind of sixth sense, maybe? It might have just been another one of those little gifts from God. As I pondered the thought, I noticed something directing aggression towards us from just a bit ahead and to the left. I could feel the hostility clearly. Hold up, something's there. The girls stopped in their tracks when I spoke up. I continued to gaze toward that point as my party got into a battle formation. As if it was waiting for that one movement, a dark shadow came leaping out and attacked us. I panicked and spun my body to evade, reassuring myself internally that this was fine after all. I could predict its movements. It was roughly the size of a large dog, with gray fur and a single black horn on its head. However, the beast before me was far too ferocious to be a mere dog. So this is what a lone-horned wolf looks like. As I turned to face it, a second one jumped out from the other side and attacked Bells. She stood before the creature and swung her fist straight into the creature's muzzle. Taking a smashing blow from her gauntlet-clad fist, the lone-horned wolf was thrown to the ground with all the life knocked out of it. Killed in a single motion. Thinking me distracted as I looked at Elsa's fight, the wolf in front of me bared its fangs and leapt to attack again. I remained calm, simply moving in time with the wolf's attack, then drew the katana up at my hip. Then drew the katana at my hip. The attack connected as our bodies passed one another. In that instant, the wolf's head was torn from its body and was sent flying through the air. The decapitated piece bounced to the ground like a basketball. I felt some guilt and other unpleasant emotions at having killed an animal for the first time in my life. But another 4 wolves showed up right before I had any time to let those emotions sink in. 2 of them rushed toward my toward my location. "Come forth, fire! Hail of red stones! Ignis fire!" By the time I even heard those words, one of the wolves charging at me suddenly burst into flames. It seemed like Linz had backed me up from behind with her magic. Crap, I missed my first chance to see magic in action. Dang it. The other wolf charged at me, but I dodged once again and laid into it with my katana. It dropped to the ground and its body became still. I turned to see one of the other wolves leaping at Els, who countered it with a roundhouse kick to its stomach and sent it flying. Nearby, the final remaining wolf was burned to a crisp. Man, I missed another chance to see magic. Guess we're done here. The request was to defeat 5 wolves, but we ended up taking out 1 extra, huh? Els reported in, clanging her gauntlets together. We'd beaten 6 in total. Hey, how's it going, Zionot? Welcome. Thanks for the bits. Appreciate you. Thanks for dropping in. We're just kind of preview reading like the first chapter, the prologue and the first chapter of In Another World with my smartphone, Volume 1. So, just kind of having a chill reading stream at the moment. But yeah, good to see you. Hope you're actually doing well and stuff. So, for our first fight, that was pretty good. Though, really, it was only my first fight. So, as proof that we'd completed the quest, we had to take back the wolf horns with us. We cut off all 6 of their horns and placed them in our pouches. Our only remaining job was to deliver them to the guild to complete the mission. As we left the forest, I physically felt my body grow less tense. It felt like something stifling had been lifted right out of the air. That was probably just another feeling I had to get used to. Luckily this time we managed to catch a carriage on its way into town, so we got to hitch a ride. We made it back to town in only a fraction of the time thanks to that. After arriving in town, we traveled by foot to the guild, where we reported in about completing the request to hunt 5 lone-horned wolves. I ended up keeping the remaining horn in commemoration of the day's events. Okay, all the horns appear to be here. Now, please present your guild cards. When we presented our cards to the receptionist, she pressed something like a stamp on each of them. As she did, a magical circle appeared briefly on the cards before fading out. When asked about it later, I found out that the stamp differed based on the difficulty of the request completed. The cards saved the information about what we had done, so as we accumulated stamps, eventually our rank would increase, and the color of our card would change. We were only at black, the beginner rank. Apparently, the ascending order was black, purple, green, blue, red, silver, and finally gold. Here's your reward of 18 copper coins. Well then, the request has been fulfilled. Good work out there. The receptionist handed us our reward, which we promptly split into 6 coins each. With that, we'd earned 3 days of food and accommodation. and it finally felt like I'd be able to make it just fine in this new world. Hey, want to go grab a bite to eat to celebrate clearing our first quest? Els proposed that course of action as we left the guild. It was a little early for dinner, but it occurred to me that we'd missed lunch, so I supposed that maybe it wasn't such a bad idea. Plus, I had a favor to ask, so it seemed like a good opportunity. We decided to go to a little tea house in town. I ordered a hot sandwich and milk. Els ordered what appeared to be a meat pie and orange juice, and Linz ordered a pancake and black tea. After our orders were brought out, I began to talk. Hey, can I ask you two for a favor? A favor? Els replied. Yeah. Think you could teach me how to read and write? It'd really help me out. I'm already having trouble here and there, so I figured that the sooner I learn, the better. That's a good point. If you can't read quest information, then I guess... Els and Linz nodded in unison. It was at times like that when you could really tell they were twins. In that case, get Linz to teach you. She's smart, so I'm sure she'll be a good teacher. That's not... if you're okay with me. Thanks a lot. You'd really be helping me out. Alright. So I'd be able to work toward my goal of being able to read and write. I just had to face my studies seriously. I was glad I'd found such a kind teacher. Speaking of which... Oh yeah, Linz. While we're at it, do you think you could teach me some magic? I'd like to be able to cast spells and stuff as well. What? Darn twins were even speaking in unison. What? Was what I said really that weird? Teach you some magic? Well, Toya, what's your aptitude? Aptitude? Magic is highly influenced by the aptitude that you're born with. People without the gift for it won't be able to use magic at all. So magic wasn't something that just anybody could use. Well, that made sense. After all, if everyone could use magic, then civilization would have been far more based around it. The gift for it, huh? You know, I think I'll be fine on that front. Somehow, someone guaranteed that I'd be able to use magic if I wanted to. Who told you that? Oh, just a very, very important person. It was God, as a matter of fact. Yeah, right. They'll think I'm insane if I tell them that. I figured it'd be best to keep that part to myself. Is there any way to test whether someone has any aptitude for magic? At my question, Linz pulled out some translucent stones from the pouch around her waist. Red, blue, yellow, and perfectly clear. They shone about almost like they were made of glass. Each one was around 1 centimeter around. Looking at them, I remembered that there was a similar one on Linz's silver wand. The one on her wand was bigger than the pebbles she'd placed before me, though. Okay, so what are these? I asked, clearly confused by her actions. They're, spellstones. They can be used to amplify, store, and release magical energy. We can use these to test whether or not you have aptitude for magic, but it can only provide a rough estimate either way. Linz whispered something like, I wonder if water would be the easiest to demonstrate, before picking up the blue stone. She held it up over the cup that she'd finished drinking her tea out of. Come forth, water. At Linz's command, a small amount of water flowed from the spellstone and into the teacup. Whoa. This is how you cast a spell. Just now, the spellstone responded to my magical energy and created water. By the way, Els cut in and then took the spellstone from her sister. After that, she tried to cast the same spell. Come forth, water. The spellstone refused to activate. Not even a droplet of water poured out. This is what happens when you have no aptitude for an element. See, this means I can't use water magic. You can't use it even though your twin sister can? Man, you really don't think before you speak, huh? No offense taken, but still. Whoops. That was a pretty poor slip of the tongue. It didn't seem like she was seriously angry at me, though, more like sulking a little. I was just glad that my thoughtless comment hadn't hurt her. In exchange for not being able to use water magic, Sis can use fortification magic. I can't use that type personally. You need the proper aptitude to use fortification magic too. Things suddenly made a lot more sense. I had been wondering where she was packing all that punch in that slender frame of hers, but the mystery had been solved. Everyone has some magical energy inside them, but unless they have the aptitude for it, they won't be able to channel it into any spells. Seemed like everything hinged on whether or not you had the gift for it. Those without talent were just out of luck. It seemed that this world was just as unfair as the last. So, we'll be able to test my aptitude if I do the same? Yes, just take the stone in your hand and focus on it, then chant, "Come forth, water." Then, if you have the aptitude, water should come out. Els handed me the blue spellstone as she said that. I put a plate down under my hand to keep the table from getting wet, then held the stone above it and began to concentrate. I cast the spell just as I had been taught. "Come forth, water." Before I could even blink, the spellstone started gushing out water like a broken faucet. What? I dropped the spellstone hurriedly, and the waterfall immediately ceased. Sadly, though, it was too late. The table looked like it had just been soaked down with a hose, and the tablecloth was drenched. What the heck does that mean? I looked down at the two sisters sitting in front of me, seeking some kind of explanation for the bizarre scene. Neither one answered me, though. They just sat there, looking on in amazement at the spectacle before them. It honestly looked like the expressions on their faces had been copied and pasted. In fact, it was all so silly that I almost found myself laughing. "Toya, you have so much magical energy that it's almost overflowing, I think. To cause such a strong reaction with just such a tiny stone and only the fragment of a spell. And on your first attempt, too. It's just, your magical energy seems to be obscenely potent. I can't believe my own eyes, even though I just saw it. You're really much more suited to being a mage, I think. Seriously, I've never seen anything like this in my life. Seemed I had the potential after all, just like God told me I would. My sheer talent in the field was surely the work of God, too. It had to be. I mean, I wasn't about to complain about it. I was just glad to know that I could really use magic. Apologizing for soaking the table, we rushed straight out of the cafe. The sun had already set by the time we got back to the inn, so my magic lessons were to be left for the next day and onward. Once I finished my dinner, Linz began to teach me how to read and write. I got Micah's permission to use the dining room for the lesson. To start off with, I had Linz write out a simple sentence for me. Next to that, I wrote the same thing in Japanese. I've never seen writing like this before. Where did you learn it? It's a written language native to my hometown and the people and the area around it. I'm probably the only one around these parts who can read it. Never mind these parts, I was probably the only person in the world who could understand this writing. It was almost like a secret code language for my eyes only. Linz looked a bit bemused, but it seemed like she believed my story for the moment. Moving on, she taught me some more very simple phrases which I steadily paired with their Japanese counterparts. Linz must have been a talented teacher because the words just clicked into place in my brain. Wait, has my memory always been this good? Is this another act of God? If it really is thanks to God, then it would have been way better if he'd just let me know the language right off the bat. Such thoughts did cross my mind, but I was sure God had his reasons. I wasn't really in a position to be asking for more than I'd already gotten from him anyway. We cut off at a good stopping point, then Linz and I returned to our respective rooms for the night. I whipped out my smartphone and noted down the day's events with my makeshift diary. I then decided to take a peek at what was going on in the other world. Oh, that person won a People's Honor Award. I wanted to see that movie. Eventually, I suddenly snapped to my senses and remembered to open up my map and check for Ishin. I found out that it was an island country far to the east of here on the map, just off the edge of the continent. I never thought it would resemble Japan all the way down to these points, but it was almost identical. I decided I'd go there if I ever got the chance. Between hunting those monsters and all that walking, I was beat. I soon felt drowsiness take its grip, and so I crawled into bed and let the Sandman do his job. Good night. Well then, let's begin. Lynn seemed a bit nervous, almost straining herself to announce the beginning of our lessons. She struck me as more than just shy, almost docile even. Maybe she could have learned from her sister. Within reason, anyway. She'd opened up a bit as we'd gotten to know each other, but I couldn't help but feel she was still a fair bit distant. Today we were taking a break from Guild Quest to give me a crash course in magic training instead. We sat at a worn-out little table around the back of the inn, since it seemed like it wasn't in use by customers anymore. Oh, and since Els had nothing to do, she went to the guild and picked up a simple plant harvesting job that she could manage on her own. Well then, Miss Siloeska, I'll be in your care today. But Miss Siloeska is a bit much. My adorable teacher drooped her head and blushed a full red through to her ears. Damn, she's cute. Alright, what's up first? Oh, right. Well, we should start from the basics, so... You know that there are different elements of magic, right? Elements? I questioned, not fully aware of the distinctions. You know, like fire and water. Well, the 7 basic elements are fire, water, earth, wind, light, dark, and null. We already know that you're proficient in water magic, as we learned yesterday. She was clearly referring to the little spellstone incident the day before. Since I was able to bring out that much water, I was obviously proficient in water magic. We learned right away that you can use water magic, which is good. If you couldn't use water magic, the plan was to test you using the spellstone for a different element. So even if someone can use magic, they're limited to certain elements? That's right. By the way, the elements I'm proficient in are fire, water, and light. As for the other 4, I can't even cast the most basic spells. Even among the 3 I can use, I'm good with fire spells, but light magic is a bit difficult. So, even in this world, there were the haves and the have-nots. You couldn't choose talents for yourself. God must have decided those things instead. I felt sorry for poor old God. Right. So, I get stuff like fire or water, but what about light, dark, or null? What do those elements do? Light is also known as holy magic, which uses light as a medium. Healing magic falls under this category. Dark is primarily summoning magic. You can use it to form contracts with magic beasts or monsters and have them fight for you. As for null, that one's a bit different from the other elements. It's mainly composed of spells unique to the caster. Sis can use fortification magic, which is a good example. Made sense to me. Something like that seemed pretty useful overall. Apart from null, each element is dependent on your magical energy plus your aptitude with it, and will only come forth once the proper spell is cast. You can't do anything if you don't know which elements you're compatible with, so we'll test for that first. As she spoke, Linz took the spellstones out from her pouch and lined them up on the table, 7 in total, colored red, blue, brown, green, yellow, purple, and clear. The elements of these spellstones are in order: fire, water, earth, wind, light, dark, and null. We'll test them all in that order. First off was the red spellstone. I grasped it in my hand and concentrated, reciting the spell that Linz had taught her. Had taught me. Come forth, fire. The stone burst forth flames like an oven at my words. I panicked and dropped the stone, which made the fire disappear in an instant. That was dangerous. It's okay. Magical fire won't hurt the one casting it. Well, not unless your clothes catch fire, of course. Just make sure that doesn't happen. Huh, is that so? I took the spell stone in hand and cast the spell once more. A flame popped out again, but she was right. It wasn't hot to the touch. So, if a magic flame spread to something else, then even the caster would get hurt, huh? Maybe that meant that when something caught fire due to magic, it didn't count as magical flames anymore. Still, wasn't the flame a bit too big? It seems like you've just got way too much magical energy. I'm sure you'll be able to control it better with practice, but for now, it might be safer to not concentrate too much and instead let your mind wander a bit. So basically, if I went at it a bit more relaxed, the effect of the magic would be much less extreme. Her advice sounded odd, but it was worth a shot. Anyway, next up was the blue stone, but we'd already confirmed that one, so we moved on to the brown one. This time I took the stone in hand without really concentrating on it, and cast the spell in a more bland, uninspired fashion. Come forth, Earth. Sand started spilling out of the spellstone. Well, that got sand all over the table. I knew we had to clean all that up later. Next up was the green spellstone. Come forth, wind. A small squall burst out and blew all the sand off the tabletop as soon as I spoke. Nice that I wouldn't have to clean up anymore, but it also knocked the spellstones all over the place. Damn it. Come forth, light. The spellstone turned into a strobe light. Ugh, my eyes! Come forth, dark. Now, I totally didn't understand that one. Some kind of black mist poured out of the spellstone and clung to its surroundings. It was super creepy. Having gone through all 6 elements, I finally noticed a small change in Linz's expression. She'd been celebrating with me after each element for a while, but had gradually begun to speak less and less, and there was currently a grave expression on her face. What's up? I asked, worry evident in my voice. No, it's nothing. I've just never met anyone who's proficient with as many as 6 elements. I mean, I can use 3, and even that's considered rare. But you're something else entirely. So that was it. I mean, this was a gift from God and all, but it still felt like I was cheating a little. There were probably people who couldn't use magic even though they really wanted to, so it felt like I was trampling all over their feelings. Still, worrying like that wouldn't change anything. Moving on to the final test, I grabbed the clear spellstone. Huh? Hold on, how do I use this one? I'd just been chanting come forth something up to that point, but would that really make sense? Wasn't come forth null a contradiction? Sure sounded awkward at least. The null element is a bit special. It doesn't have any particular incantation. Instead, it activates based on your magical energy and spell name alone. So that was how it worked. Sounded mighty convenient, this blank element. For example, the fortifying magic that Sis uses is activated by yelling boost, and that's it. A lot of coming on the stones. There are others such as Power Rise that increases raw muscle strength, and rarer spells like Gate that allow one to move great distances, but Sis can't use those. So basically, all the handy little miscellaneous spells that didn't fit under any element were listed under the null element. Well, how do I figure out which null type spells I can cast then? According to Sis, she just somehow knows the spell name for some reason. Null type magic is also referred to as personalized magic, so very few people are ever able to use the exact same spells as each other. There are people with multiple null type spells out there, but these people are exceedingly rare. Sounded mighty inconvenient, this blank element. So there's no quick way to learn which null type spells I'll be able to cast then? No, we should still be able to test that. If you grip the spellstones and try to cast any type of null type spell, then even if it fails, the stone should shine slightly or wobble a bit. There should at least be some kind of small change. And if nothing happens, then I'm afraid you'll have no aptitude for that element. Well, nothing to do but give it a go, I suppose. A spell that lets you cross great distances sounded pretty handy. If I had that, we wouldn't have to walk all the way to that forest like we did the day before. All right. I took the clear spellstone in hand, then exclaimed the spell's name. Gate. Suddenly, the spellstone shone brightly and formed a translucent wall of light next to me. The wall was roughly the size of a door. Or, well, I thought it was a wall at first, but upon closer inspection, I noticed it wasn't even 1 centimeter thick. It was more like a sheet, to be honest. It worked. So it did, Linz replied, utterly dumbfounded. I timidly touched the surface of the sheet of light. Ripples flowed out from the area my fingertips brushed against. It was almost like a thin membrane of water. I stuck my arm through the membrane and pulled it back out. Having confirmed that it was safe, the next thing I did was stick my head through it. As I did, my vision was filled by an expansive forest, and Elle sitting on her backside, her eyes wide with shock. "Sup, Els?" What the? Toya? What the heck's going on?" I pulled my head back for a moment, took Linz by the hand, and we walked into the forest together. "Linz? You too? Eh? What's going on? Where'd you pop out from?" Linz calmly explained the situation to the panicking Els. It seemed we were in the same eastern forest we'd gone through the day before. Apparently, Els had traveled to the area to pick up some medicinal herbs for her guild quest, but a wall of light suddenly appeared. After that, an arm came flying out of it, then flew back in, and the sheer sight of it made her fall flat on her backside. Honestly, I'd probably have reacted the same way. The gate spell is supposedly able to take the caster anywhere that they've visited at least once. In all likelihood, Toya probably thought about this forest when he was casting it. She was right on the money. At the time, I'd been thinking about how it would be nice if we didn't have to walk all the way to the forest again. So basically, you can use all 7 elements. That's a bit freaky. Elle spoke as though she had just gotten used to all my eccentricities at that point. I kind of shared the same sentiment there. I'd never even heard of anyone who was proficient in every element before. Toya, you're really amazing. Linz, in stark contrast to her sister, reacted in sheer admiration. I could only meet her in turn with a wry smile. Els seemed to be done with their harvesting, so, as though I were a ferryman escorting some passengers, I brought us all back through the gate to the garden behind the inn. It took me 2 whole hours to walk here. But now we're all back in an instant. That's one handy spell you've got there. On that note, Els left to report her completed quest to the guild. We decided that my crash course in magic would end there for the day, then headed back to the inn. It was almost lunchtime anyway. I wondered what would be on the menu. I sure was hungry. When we returned to the cafeteria, Micah was there with an unfamiliar woman who seemed to be about the same age as her. She had wavy black hair, and judging from the white apron she was wearing, I deduced that she was most likely worked with food. The two of them sat with various dishes in front of them. They sampled the foods with a knife and fork, making difficult expressions all the while. Micah raised her head, then noticed us and called out, "Oh, hey, perfect timing." "What's up?" I inquired, as Micah brought the other lady up to us. "This girl's name is Ayr. She runs a little cafe in town, Parent." "Ah, we were just there yesterday. It was a really nice place." I decided to keep quiet about almost flooding the shop. I hadn't seen Ayr anywhere at the time, so my guess was that she was probably in the kitchen. Things would have been a little awkward if she'd seen us back then. We're trying to come up with new items for our menu, so we figured that we'd ask your opinions on the matter. Thought that someone from another country might know of some dishes that we don't have around these parts, see? "I'd be very grateful if you could think of anything," Ayr bowed her head as she spoke. I looked at Linz and we both nodded. "I don't mind. I'll help however I can." To be honest, I wasn't sure we'd be able to help at all, though. What kind of food were you thinking of putting at the menu? Let's see. Right. Preferably something simple, I guess. A dessert dish of some kind, something that would be a hit with young women. Something young women would like, huh? I can't really think of anything better than crepes or ice cream, to be honest. Wow, that was a weak suggestion even by my standards. But it wasn't like I knew much about cooking in the first place. Ice cream? Air responded, seemingly confused. No, ice cream. You know, the kind you eat. Ice cream? Huh? Why is everyone making such weird faces? Is it possible that ice cream doesn't exist in this world? What kind of food is that? It's like sweet and cold, white, vanilla ice cream. Not really. I've never heard of anything like that before. It seemed that my suspicions had been confirmed. Well, it only made sense. After all, this world didn't even have refrigerators. Actually, they did have simple refrigerator-like boxes that stored ice made from magic and used them to keep things cool, but those weren't really refrigerators, more like coolers. Would you happen to know how to make it? No, I'm afraid I don't really know that much. If I remember right, milk was one of the ingredients. I hesitated a bit at Air's question. How was I supposed to know how ice cream was made? No, wait. I might not know how to make it, but I did have a way to find out. Please wait just a minute. I think I might be able to come up with something. Linz, could you help me out for a minute? Huh? Well, I don't mind, but... I grabbed Linz and dragged her to my room, then pulled out my smartphone and did a quick search for how to make ice cream on the internet. Okay, good. Got it. What is that object? Liz seemed quite puzzled when she saw me fiddling with my smartphone. It's a handy little magical item. I'm the only one who can actually use it, though. I'd be really grateful if you didn't bother paying much attention to it. She seemed somewhat suspicious of me, but didn't pry any further. Looked like she was quick on the uptake. Okay, can you write down everything I'm about to tell you? No problem. 3 eggs, 200 milliliters of fresh cream, 60 to 80 grams of sugar. Does any of this sound unfamiliar to you? I posed that question to Linz as I listed off the ingredients. Sorry, what are milliliters and grams? Of course this would happen. Milliliters are a thing we use in my country when we're measuring the amount of something. Grams are a unit of weight. Guess I'll have to go with my gut on those from now on. Oh, right, Linz, can you use ice magic? Yes, I can. Ice spells are considered water magic, you see. Then there was no problem. After listing off the ingredients, I had Linz transcribe the instructions on how to make vanilla ice cream. Following the instructions, Air began making the ice cream. It was a far safer bet than having a complete amateur like me try to make it. Though I still did help out with the mixing, which actually took a lot more effort than I'd originally thought. For the last step, the mixture was placed in a container and sealed with a lid. Linz cast her magic on it and froze the container in a block of ice. We left it for a while until it seemed about ready, then cracked open the ice block and retrieved the container. It appeared to have come together properly. I took the spoon and tried a little bit. The flavor was slightly off, but I figured it could pass for vanilla ice cream. I put some on a plate and offered it to her. Offered it to Air. After a single spoonful, her eyes shot wide open. Suddenly, her face broke into a beaming smile. This is delicious. The lady seemed pleased with my offering, which made me happy. What is this thing? It's cold, but it's amazing. This is really good. Micah and Linz seemed to have taken a liking to it as well. Honestly, I thought it could have been a lot better, though I suppose it would have been impossible to recreate the kind of ice cream sold in famous stores on our first try. Only one problem remained. Was there anyone working in Air's store who could use ice magic? After I asked, she explained that her younger sister could. Okay, no problem on that front then. I'm sure this one will be popular with young women, and hopefully it meets all the standards of your shop's menu. Of course, thank you very much. I'll add vanilla ice cream to the menu right away. Since we didn't actually use vanilla extract, calling it vanilla ice cream was technically incorrect. But, well, why sweat the small stuff? Air gave a quick goodbye, then rushed back to her shop. It seemed like she wanted to try making it herself. When Els returned from the guild and heard the full story, she almost exploded, complaining that she was the only one who didn't get to try any. Micah cut in and said we'd make more, and with that, I was right back on mixing duty. I found myself gazing wistfully into the distance, earnestly wishing that I had that little lost piece of civilization known as the hand mixer. My poor arm. From what I'd seen so far, this world gave off the odd impression of being a little bit mismatched in places. They'd advanced greatly in some areas, but were still stuck in the Middle Ages in others. Take, for example, the pillow in my room. It was an incredibly soft, undeniably high-quality pillow. And from what I'd heard, it was on the cheaper end as far as pillows went. The raw materials used to make it were made by processing the hide of magic beasts that you could find just about anywhere. Made from common materials, it was about as ordinary as a pillow could be. But if that was what passed for ordinary, then I couldn't even begin to imagine the feel or texture that a high-quality pillow might have had. Different worlds have different perceptions of value. I have to try and get used to that fact. This world is my home now, so I've got to do my best. So, that was the end of chapter 1. Pretty long chapter. We already got 52 pages in. 52 pages in of the book. So we're like 52 of 243. So like we're about a fifth of the way in, roughly. But so what did you guys think? This was actually the prologue and the first chapter to In Another World with my smartphone. And yes, it was only chapter 1 and the prologue instead of actually chapter 1 and 2. So what do you guys think? I mean, in a nutshell, Smartphone is essentially a story of a boy that got transported to another world because of God's mistake, and God gave him a little bit of a more durable body to help make up for the mistake and help him live a little bit longer in the new world, since it was going to be a little bit more challenging than the one he came from. And as an added boon, allowed him to keep his smartphone that used his own personal magic to stay charged, as well as was able to connect to his old world. So yeah, I think, well, I mean, you can find either the books or the anime and stuff. Like the anime was on it is still on Crunchyroll, and I think season 2 is also airing on Crunchyroll as well, or other places. The first season is a little bit on the slow side, just simply because it's a fairly slow start. They spend a bit of time world building, a bit of time kind of getting into the relationships that he winds up building initially before it really starts laying into any kind of major action. So that's part of the reason, that and the fact that he's basically a Mary Sue, but that's actually part of the whole plot line of the story. So I'm not going to give a whole lot away about that. So it's worth taking a look. It's worth checking out. And, honestly, it's one of those where, it's worth a read if you enjoy isekais and you actually enjoy light novels. I definitely recommend the novels. And like I said, it's currently up to, I believe, 26 volumes. It actually got up. In fact, the most recent volumes, it's out on J Novel Club at the moment. But I think that the current novel that or the current volume that they're translating over on what you call it, on J Novel Club is like volume 27, I want to say, somewhere around there. But the first major story arc actually takes up, well, it doesn't really start on the first volume. I mean, they give like a little hint about it, but they don't really start getting into the first major story arc until probably around like book 3, somewhere between book 2 or book 3-ish is where they start, where they kind of get into it, which is right about where right around like book 2 is probably where the first season of the anime actually leaves off. So yeah, like they don't even get into the main story in like the first season, which the second season, the one that's airing right now, they're actually finally getting into it. So it's, it's, the action is picking up a bit. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that reading bit. So, and yeah, if you liked it, by all means, go check out the anime, go check out the light novel. I think it's a little bit worth it, although I will warn you, the story is a little bit kind of, I'm not going to say schizophrenic, but it takes some interesting turns. Yo, what up, 180? How's it going? Yeah, I was actually, we're coming up on the 3-hour mark. I was going to go ahead and stop in a few minutes, but yeah, I did actually like this. I did like the series. I started watching season 2, but I've actually caught up, except for like the most recent light novel that's currently being translated, which I think is like volume 27 or so. But after season 2 came out, I started rereading the novel from like volume 4 all the way to volume 20 to kind of finish the first major story arc. And yeah, it's basically it's a Mary Sue type story, and but then that's also part of the whole story. So there's a reason for it. I know, like I was actually just saying, a lot of people didn't like the first season, but the first season really only kind of covers like books 1 and 2. So yeah, it's worth checking out. It's worth a look. But yeah, glad you popped in. I'm glad you could pop in. Yeah. Yeah, season 1 was alright. But then again, it's a very slow series to kind of pick up. At least as far as like the action kind of getting in and stuff, it's a slow burn in the beginning. Things really don't start kind of kicking in until like, until like maybe about the 3rd book or so. Yeah, stream was okay. I basically just did a simple reading stream since I didn't do one on Thursday. And so recited, like, did some custom lines, read a couple of things, faltered over a script, and then just decided to go ahead and read. But I wound up reading the prologue and chapter 1, which there's like only like 5 chapters per book. So chapter 1 covered like a good 1/5 of the book. So yeah, your season 2 and stuff, things are going to pick up. I don't know where they plan on stopping at season 2. It's hard to kind of predict what they're going to wind up covering if they're only going to do 12 episodes. So we'll just have to see. Yes, and so it was a 3-hour read, technically 2.5 or so, because I didn't start reading until the first half, or the first half hour or so in stream. But that all said, like I said, I just finished and stuff, so you got here literally right at the end, man, but glad you made it. So guess I am going to go ahead and call it here. Yeah. I assume you're working and stuff, so I hope you have a good day at work and everything. But thanks for dropping by and saying hi. I appreciate it. And I guess in the meantime, we are coming up at the end of the hour anyway, and those ads are about to start kicking in about half a minute or so. So half a minute to a minute. So I think this is a good place to just go ahead and call it. I'm not going to go ahead and raid anybody out tonight. I'm just going to go ahead and end it here. But I appreciate you guys for coming by, coming and hanging out and stuff. And I will be back again on Tuesday doing a variety game. You are very welcome. Glad you hung out and glad you could make it, Lumi. Thanks again for spending time with me. So, I will talk to you guys soon, and you guys take care. Bye.